Let's read this. Priest from Dabrova Gornicha decided to organize a sexual event in the parish. The situation got out of control. I shouldn't laugh at this. This is not funny. The situation got out of control that the intervention of the police and ambulance was necessary. The matter was reported by Gazeta Vyborja. The priest chose a unique place for the party, the parish of the Blessed Virgin Mary of the Angels in Dabrova Gornija. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Dobrova Gornija was the first in Poland to obtain the status of a sanctuary. It was in the building belonging to this temple that indecent acts took place. The priest chose a unique place for the party. I already read that. According to a person familiar with the behind the scenes of the event, interviewed by Gazeta Wyborcza journalist, the clergy organized a sexual event. The priests were to take potency pills and order a male prostitute. So they're not like, this isn't dudes banging chicks. This is men banging men. I mean, this is pretty nasty. Party in the parish with the participation of a male prostitute. At one point, the situation was definitely going to get out of control. One of the party participants had to call an ambulance because the man providing sex work lost consciousness. What the hell was going on? That's you know what? I don't want to know. When paramedics arrived at the scene to help him, they encountered resistance from the clergy. What? Oh my gosh. Wait. So this guy passes out, right? This guy passes out. Male prostitute passes out. When the paramedics come over to help him, the priesthood, this amazing group of people, this bandit of wizards, they were going against the paramedics. The priest did not want to let the medics inside. Whoa, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. The situation became so tense that the intervention of the uniformed services was necessary. What was the ambulance for? Somebody passed out. I don't know why. The male prostitute that they brought over passed out. For reasons I really don't want to know. The district prosecutor's office in Sosnowiec has already become interested in the case. Spokesman Waldemar Lubniewski said that investigators have initiated an investigation into failure to provide assistance to a person in a situation that poses an immediate threat of loss of life or serious damage to health. So I'm guessing this is the charges, or this is the charge that they want to bring upon these priests, that they failed to provide assistance to a person in a situation that poses an immediate threat of loss of life or serious damage. Okay, so basically they didn't want to allow the paramedics to do their job to help this guy who passed out, so that was a criminal act. A similar act is punishable by up to 3 years imprisonment. The Curia issued a statement. I gotta play some music. I want to play some music. And so, it's amazing that even in Poland, this stuff goes on, right? Because you think Poland, Eastern Europe, Slavic mentality, Slav people, and you would never think this sort of thing happens, right? Like you could hear about this kind of stuff happening in Spain and France and Italy, right? Because they're all kind of like limp-wristed in those countries. But you hear this going on in Poland. I mean, Poland is supposed to be one of those Slavic countries like Russia where they're very much against this sort of stuff. But it happens. It happens in Poland. Why? Papal corruption. Papal corruption. There's something with that Catholicism, man. I don't know. It does something to people. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. it does something to people where it just makes them act crazy. One moment they're praying the rosary, the next moment they got a crazy orgy going on. I don't know. I could play Polish music, but the problem is the Polish music may be a little bit too crazy with the accordions. There is something innately wrong with Catholicism, to the point where you have priests who have horrific pedophile urges. I mean, and it's like one moment they're saying the rosary and they're speaking in Latin and they've educated themselves so much in the liturgy, in the doctrine of the church, and they will indulge themselves in homosexuality and pederasty. Oh, sound is great. Okay, that's good. And it's like, how do you explain that one? You know, and the common belief is that these people infiltrated the church. I used to believe that. I don't think it's entirely the case. I think that a lot of these priests got into the priesthood, they went through seminary, they did all that stuff, thinking that they were going to do God a service. But because there is something, I'm going to sound like an extremist Lutheran, but I think there is something demonic going on in the church to where these people are being influenced and possessed by demons to do these horrible things. And I'm not saying it's not their choice. It is their choice. But what I am saying is that there is something demonic about Roman Catholicism to where people get influenced by the demonic world and they saturate themselves, they plunge themselves into that world and they become evil. There's something supernatural about all this stuff. Supernaturally evil, not supernaturally good, but there's something supernatural about all this stuff. There's something very dark about all this stuff. And maybe it's because they get too deep into Mariology to the point where they uplift Mary like a goddess, and that demonic influence comes in through that. I don't know. Wolves in sheep's clothing, yes, but perhaps when they first entered the priesthood in their minds, they thought that they were going to be doing God a service. And remember what Jesus said: there will be people who will want to kill you, thinking they are doing God a service. And I think that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who think that they're doing God a service, but they don't know that they're worshiping the devil, and so they have these demonic influences. But let's finish reading this article, and I'm going to get more into this topic here, because there are some things that I want to say about this. So it says here that the Sosnowiec diocese also issued a statement regarding the event with the participation of priests. Curia spokesman Father Przemysław Lach reported that on September 12th, the parish priest, the Blessed Virgin Mary of the Angels in Dąbrowa Górnicza, informed the diocesan curia in Sosnowiec in writing about the intervention of the ambulance and police in the building belonging to the parish. The announcement states that on the same day, the Bishop of Sosnowiec appointed a commission to urgently explain the circumstances of the situation. The bishop is regularly informed about the results of the commission's work. After completing its work and determining the circumstances of the incident, appropriate steps provided for by canon law will be taken. Okay, so basically they said nothing. So you have a gay orgy in a highly esteemed Catholic church in Poland, to the point where one guy loses consciousness and the priests hinder the paramedics from doing anything, from saving this person's life. And this Catholic diocese of Sosnowiec, just basically does the same thing as the Diocese of Austin in Texas. They did nothing. They just don't do anything. We're going to make a statement, and they're probably going to move these priests off to Iceland somewhere, and that's that. That's it. And so the question is, how is it that you have a country like Poland, which is inhabited by Slavic people who are very much against the LGBTQ agenda, very much, against abortion, super conservative, but yet you have stuff like this happening? How do you explain that? And how do you explain that a diocese in Poland somewhere, in some town that no one's ever heard of, acts no differently than a diocese in Austin, Texas? So it's like no matter what the cultural differences are between Catholic countries, the systems of the Catholic Church function the same way, regardless of the culture. How do you explain that one? Because the way you explain it is very simple. There is something universally wrong with the entire system. It's not a culture. It's not a particular people. It's the system itself. The whole thing is just rotten. It's innately evil. Because I used to think, well, maybe the pedophile thing, maybe that's just like an American problem. Maybe, it's not so much in other countries. In America, a lot of weirdos are in America. But then you go to Italy, you go to Spain, you go to Poland, you go to Switzerland, you go to the UK, you go to Australia. It's all there. It's all the same. Why is it always the same thing? You go to Mexico, Argentina. It's all the same. Why? Why is it always the same, no matter where you go in the Catholic world? Because there is something innately wrong with the entire system. It's not just a bunch of infiltrators. And here's the thing. I for years, I've heard this nonsense about they usually move them to Africa or South America. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the countries that they... Yeah, I'm making sure my sound is good. One of the countries that they drop a lot of these pervert priests at is Argentina. Argentina is Argentina and the United States. Those two countries, they are the two biggest dumping grounds for pedophile and pervert priests. They just dump them in Argentina or the United States. And, for years, I've heard this nonsense about, it's all just infiltration. The trad Catholics love to use this argument. It's all just infiltration, guys. It's all just infiltration. Okay, so if it's all infiltration, where are all of the good Catholics coming in and taking these people's positions? Where are all the good Catholics from the congregations entering the priesthood and being good priests? Where are they? There's not a lot of them. There's a handful of good priests, and that's pretty much it.